Israel may be one of the world's smallest countries, but it's a giant in global technology. And as Chris Mitchell reports, that has implications for the United States as well.
You're looking at Israel's Silicon Valley, one of the reasons why technology here has become an economic powerhouse. A 2008 survey shows Israel ranks second behind the U.S. in 6 key innovation areas. One reason? Jewish brainpower concentrated in this tiny nation. Israel is credited with developing the cell phone, voice technology, and even the Intel Pentium chip in your computer was most likely made here. There are also advances in solar power, medical breakthroughs, and the production of cutting-edge military technology. One prime example, the F-16I.
Over 600 modifications have been introduced by Israel into the current generation of the F-16, which is a symptom of the cutting-edge technologies and capabilities which we have in Israel.
Despite these enormous contributions, Israel remains one of the most hated nations on earth. Why? In the new book, The Israel Test, George Gilders says Israel is hated because it's successful, free, and good. He states anti-Semitism, both throughout the ages and today, is fueled by envy and greed, be it from last century's Nazi Germany or today's radical Islam.
Well, one of the most profound thinkers on matters of this nature, George Gilder. And George is here with us, and it's a pleasure to welcome you back to the 700 Club.
Great to be here again.
Thank you. George, why do they hate the Jews? Why does the nation, I mean, the nations of the earth, every single one seems to hate Israel?
It's Marxism. It's envy of success and achievement. The Jews have been the greatest achievers of the 20th century, and now Jewish genius is concentrated in Israel. And so the resentment of everybody who fails his Israel test, and the Israel test is your response to the successes of others. The golden rule of capitalism, it's like the golden rule of Christianity, is that the good fortune of others is also your own.
Yeah.
And this is what they don't understand.
When Israel, for example, when they were in charge of the Gaza Strip, what did they do there that's not being done by the Palestinians?
Well, they opened up enterprise. And the amazing thing is the biggest beneficiaries of Israel have been the Palestinians, overwhelmingly.
Yeah.
When the Israelis inherited the West Bank and Gaza after the 1967 war, those territories became among the fastest growing countries in the face of the earth. And 250,000 Jewish settlers moved in, but almost 2 million Arab settlers moved in to take advantage of the opportunities that the Jewish settlers created. And as the population of Arabs tripled in the territories, their per capita incomes also tripled, and their life expectancies rose from 42 years to nearly 70 years. Incredible. This was a golden age for Palestine.
Why won't they wake up to the fact? I mean, I know there's a lot of propaganda, but this is illogical that they would turn their backs on something so beneficial.
Well, you know, all around the history of the world, people have hated Israel or hated the Jews, and they failed as a result. And countries that fail their Israel test, you've been writing about, you haven't failed your Israel test, Pat. You've been writing about this for years and years and decades. And it's whether you admire people who succeed and triumph, or whether you resent and try to tear them down.
Take the United States right now. We're on the cusp, if you will, of making decisions, and I'm not sure our country favors Israel like it used to. What is the Israel test for America, and what's the consequence?
Well, I sometimes think President Obama wants to sneak out of his Israel test and have Rahm Emanuel take it for him or something. I just don't think they really understand how central Israel is to the American economy, American defenses, American intelligence. We should prop up Israel because Israel props us up.
Well, they don't think that way in Washington. Yeah. They really don't. They think, why should I sacrifice for a bunch of Jews? I mean, that's the way they think.
Well, it's evil, and it's an evil that your whole career has been devoted to combating.
That's right.
I just read a book by a guy named David Brogue. Do you know that book called Standing for Israel? And it's really mostly about you, Pat, and how you have fought for Israel for all this time.
Years, and it's 40, 50 years. But because, well, it is so important. They are the only bastion of freedom in that whole sea of tyranny and backwardness.
Yeah. Well, but they, it's been recent that they've really embraced capitalism and freedom. I mean, this really has only happened in the 1990s. Before that, Israel was socialist. And as a result, when Gaza and the West Bank, Samaria and Judea, were growing faster than any other economies in the world, they were also growing a lot faster than Israel was. Israel was in a slough of socialism during the early period. They had a lot of accomplishments. You couldn't keep them down, but they were socialist, and it's only in the last 20 years that they have emerged as a dominant force in the world economy.
Do you attribute that to
spearhead of the world economy?
Do you attribute that to the work of Bibi Netanyahu, or to the?
A lot is Netanyahu. Netanyahu was at the Boston Consulting Group back in the early 1970s when they were inventing what's essentially supply-side economics. And so Bibi Netanyahu is the world's leading supply. He's the Ronald Reagan of our time.
What do you see as the future for them? Are the Arabs going to crush them? Are the nations of the earth going to crush them?
I think Israel is getting lead over the other nations is steadily increasing. It's never been increasing as fast as it is today. And I think their dominance is going to become increasingly evident, and that the rest of the Arab world will learn to pass their Israel test, because Israel's triumph will become so inevitable and so manifest.
Well, I hope. Well, I believe you're right, and I hope that you're right. I hope that this is the case. The Israel Test, ladies and gentlemen, a very provocative book by George Gilder, and one that I think I've taken it. I hope I passed it.
You did. You sure have, Pat. You're the one.
Thank you for being here.